Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, dear Dharma practitioners, as you know, our Buddha, before he attained to the Buddhahood, he used to live in the palace as a prince, having a very luxurious life. And then you heard one day he went out and saw a very old man, then the sick person, and then the dead body. And then another day he saw a shramana or a kind of like a monk, whoever looking for truth or liberation or salvation. And sometimes people question, oh, is it possible? That kind of very luxurious that life and had to Prince Siddhartha, is it possible these things can change a person? And as you know, his father, King Suddhodana, and used to maintain the city in wherever he goes and even the palace in a very nice, comfortable way and showing always the positive side of the life. And somehow the Prince Siddhartha saw this very reality or the nature of the life. So, dear Dhamma friends, you and me also kind of like living in that kind of palace in our head. We all trapped like the Prince Siddhartha. You are kind of like a blueprint of the Siddhartha stuck inside the palace with all the facilities, comfort, and all the luxurious as you imagine yourself. And this environment itself is kind of like the King Suddhodana. This environment is kind of like your father and it not allow you to escape. It provide everything and keep every truth away from you. So I ask a question yourself. So I ask a question and look yourself and find the answer. So we cannot have the face-to-face conversation, but you can ask yourself. So what are the four things that Prince Siddhartha saw? Old person, sick person, dead body, and a monk. So remember, if you see in a row, one by one, if you see that four things, you also change your life. But look yourself and ask, when you saw an old person, old mean really old person, because nowadays we cannot find like that because of all the makeup, jewelries, you know, and all this, most of the old people like to become kind of like act like babies, and they want to be kind of like a teenagers, or young children. It is very rare. By only through the pictures sometimes you can really see a very old person. Ask yourself, when you saw natural real old person, and maybe you have to think, see, you are trapped because you didn't see it. That the same thing happened to the Prince Siddhartha and the sick person. When you see really, when a person kind of like in a sick bed, or really sick person, when you see and you think, oh, I saw that, that time, this time, like that. But even if the person at hospital, when when people come to see that person, and mostly they're not going to show you the real nature of that sick person, and they prepare the person very nice, new bed sheet, or the cover it with the some nice clean clothes, And you didn't see that very clearly. To even, at home sometimes, even that your parents get old, and most of time, and if it is very rare, you stay with them, and you see it. If you see that, it change you. Why? Because that is the true nature. But look at today, where you can find a really sick person. And with this situation now, even you cannot find a person having a cold or coughing you or fever. You're not going to find that person anymore. See, we come to a world. It's completely kind of like something totally different. But that is the true nature of us. And when you saw a dead person, you heard that person died, this person died. When you saw really a dead person, and now when you go to even funeral, and sometimes some people don't look at the body, and if you look at the body, that person so beautiful than the person he used to live like ordinary person. And with A, they put the most beautiful makeup for the dead bodies. You don't find that person kind of like a dead. So look, that is why it's the same thing. It's not a kind of like, oh, Prince Siddharth had a very different lifestyle, and he had something he saw and hit his mind and completely changed him. It's not like that. We also trap in the same prison. See, we never saw a sick person, very close. Maybe by mistake we see somebody, but we didn't see very real sickness. And sometimes we didn't see the old person. So how about you today see a very old person naturally, very clearly, close to that person, and you observe that person, and next day you see a sick person very close to that person, and you naturally observe yourself, and the very next day, now third day to come, and you see a dead person. In eastern countries, we had a culture, like we when somebody died, that the mostly we weaving the body, and but it's now it all changed. Now it kind of like a festival. And sometimes now people have to spend so much money to do a funeral service than the wedding, because it's kind of like a different. It's showing, the children, and want to show off. They are all the wealth and the power. Sometimes they are ego within everything. And while their parents or the whoever living, husband or wife or children living, they didn't take care. But when it come to the funeral, and grand scale funerals, it's competition now. So you don't see the true nature now. And here in these countries, you will never find. You don't see. It's a completely different. So then how about you see the very old person naturally very close to that person, you observe and recognize, and maybe you have a good friend to explain it. Hey, remember, look, this is going to happen to you. And the very next day you see a very old person and the sick person. And then the third day you see dead body. There is a friend for you to saying, hey, look at this. We also going to die. Remember, if you see this in a row 3 days, the fourth day you change. No one can stop that. You change. So look at the world today. We see, that's why the world is kind of like the King Suddhodana. He's kind of like his concept. This capitalism is covering everything, keep it nice, show off everything, and everything. It's look like okay, but underneath it's totally different. See, ourselves the same. Ourselves the same. So and when we look at this like this way, we see, oh, it's good. It's look good. Everything okay. But as you know, during this pandemic time, suddenly, young people, it's even well known, fitness people, fitness instructors, bodybuilders, sports in, you know, athletic people, suddenly, died because of this pandemic situation, this virus. And a lot of people are afraid, the reason, because deeper inside, the physical mechanism is not good. It's already broke down. Then the little virus hit, it completely destroy. So outside, it's kind of like everything good. Why? Because that is how we maintain. That doesn't mean, oh, okay, forget about this, everything that you just be like that. No, it is not like that, because this is the worldly nature. But the thing is, when we go with it, when we permanent this, when we accept this as the permanent way of life, that is where we also go with that current. But what the Buddha said, let's go to that little bit. So when he went from the palace, and then he went to learn many dharma from the other teachers during that time. So mainly Alara Kalama, Uttakarama Putta. So like that, he went to main schools and learn everything and around that area. So then he found out mainly two level of method, the extreme level of two rivers, kind of like two paths, two methods, two schools all over the area, govern. The one is Kama Sukallikana Yoga, indulging in sensual pleasures and vulgaring and with the go with the worldly pleasure. And then he understood it is unprofitable, it's profitless, and there is no method that you can go into the deeper truth. You can have you can have a very comfortable life for that moment, enjoying and indulging that all the sensual desires, but it never take you to the depth. It's like that. It's like you go to ocean and you jump with the rubber uh, tire or tube, and it help you to go just the surface level of around the water. You can enjoy, it's nothing wrong with that. And it is totally different. How about you go with the oxygen tank and go like a deep diver? What you experience is totally different. So then another one is the Atta Kilamatani yoga. So it's a kind of like it's an addiction of the self mortification and going to very difficult, hard, ascetic lifestyle and resisting everything and rejecting everything. And it's also painful, and it's also profitless. So this both paths, indulging in sensual pleasures and self mortification. So those are the two extreme methods that time used to be. So Buddha went, and the Prince Siddhartha went and learned that everything. And then he understood this both doesn't work. It doesn't take us to the the bottom. It allow us to just to paddle on the surface level. So then he start to go and practice himself. And then he found out this Four Noble Truth, Eightfold Path, and this all the Dharma. But when he understood this Dharma, there is a method that you have to go with. Because mainly, if you think the world is not good, the mistake is within the world. This everything, all the beautiful things wrong. And then also, and you think if there is something wrong with this physical body, and then you try to destroy the outside things and the material things, and that also. So that is the major mistake that mostly we does even today. And we mostly try to struggle with these physical material things and try to fix this. So we think these sensual pleasures, the desires of vulgar or worldly nature is come with this the physical. And it is with it is something wrong with this material, it is something wrong with something perfect or the beautiful. So that's why sometimes we have a kind of like a, jealousy when we see a deeper anger sometimes for beautiful things. There are people destroy beautiful things. They don't like to see it. They think it's kind of like a demon. They think that everything hide behind that beauty. And also, then some people it's a kind of like a come take to the deeper suffering themselves and struggle with it. So what the Buddha said? So there are mainly two reasons when we see something. Abhijja, domanassa. So abhijja, domanassa. Abhijja means strong attachment. Domanassa or strong resistance. Those are the two things happening mainly. When something come to our eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, when the perception come, then the mainly that is what happening. Or we hold it or we reject it. If it is beautiful, we hold it. If it is unpleasant, we reject it. But we try to fix it with this outside and maybe changing the beauty or changing the ugliness. That way we cannot do this. So what the Buddha here may try to explain, so what the teachings explain, what the Dhamma explain, this is nothing to do with the material or physical. This is completely deeply inner psychological mechanism you have to understand. And it is not a beginning, this is not the end. As example, you see there are, wristwatch, like you can see the through the glass that you can see inner all the wheels. So once the one wheel is start, that all other wheels and move, that everything work together, interconnected. So once all the wheels work each other together, you cannot find from where the start point. So the same thing with the inside mind also. When a situation happen, when something happen, it is not, oh, this is the beginning, this is the end. It's not like that. It has a deeper mechanism interconnected with the cause and effect. So that's why it is you need to look inside rather than struggling with the outside world. So abhijja, domanasam, recognizing these two things are the most important things that you have to have. So then mostly when we see something beautiful, and sometimes we don't accept it as beautiful. And we say, oh, it is not, it no need to tell it is beautiful. Forget about it. And we think kind of like a whole world is kind of like ugly. No, because deeply we go with this beauty and ugliness. This mostly we hold it to the beauty. That's why we have this life. That's why we have this eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. That is the major power it giving and boosting to have this organ like this way. With the strong desire to, when you have a strong desire to see, that's where you gain the eyes. When you have strong desire to hear, that's where you gain the ears. So it is very neat. You cannot reject that. That is where we become. So then what you have to do, rather than rejecting it, when you see something, you have to have power to see its true nature. And only thing then, not to hold it. So whatever you see as a beautiful flower, you and me or enlightened master, everyone can see that beauty the same way. But maybe you and me try to hold it. Oh, I like this. Give it to me. I want to take it. Can I get a plant, and can I find a way where I can get a branch? I want. So, but the enlightened master, they don't do go like that way. Why? Because they see the beauty as beauty, but they see it change. They see the ugly as ugly, but they see it change. Then there's nothing to hold. So then remember yourself, whatever you see, you have to see it. Whatever you experience, accept it as experience. Because it is not you, it is this inner mechanism. But develop the inner awareness to see, go beyond that everything and see the change. That is the most important. Nothing wrong with the beauty, nothing wrong with the ugliness. Let it be there like that way. Keep that nature as it is, but go through the beauty. It doesn't matter how beautiful it is. Go through the beauty, see it is not permanent. That is where you have to go. Go through the ugliness, see it is not permanent. Then you're not going to hold it to the beauty, you're not going to resist the ugliness. So then the both become equal. Why? Because the beauty or the positive side of the world also not permanent, negative side or the ugliness also not permanent. Then you come to equanimity. When you see something, there is no Chandaraga or the strong desire. Go through this beauty to hold it. So learn to see the change. I'll give an example. So archery is a very ancient the art. So when you mastering the archeries, in the beginning, what they does, they take a arrow and then they find the target, and then they take time, and then you release the arrow. You take time, you see the target and you find the target, and you take time and you to make sure. So you keep doing this way, keep doing this way, keep doing this way. But when you master the archery, what is happening? Seeing the target, releasing the arrow, there is no time. Remember that. Seeing the target, releasing the arrow, no time, no thinking time. Because if there is a thinking time, he lose. Because when you go to the war, sometimes not like today, hiding. So like that, sometimes they have to fight face to face, or especially with the archeries. And if you have the waiting time, finding target and releasing arrow, maybe you hit the arrow. So mastering archeries or even mastering the sword is one of the way that developed the Zen meditation came to this art and developed the method is this. What? Finding the target and the cutting, or finding the target and releasing the arrow no time. It both happen at one time. That is where you develop the samatha. So what is that? When you see the beauty, you don't take time to think later. Oh, I saw this something beautiful. It's beautiful. And then later somebody say, hey, forget about it. It's change. Oh, I saw something ugly and it bothering to me. Then somebody say it is change. No. When you see at that very moment, you recognize. And then you're not going to stuck. And there is no time in between experience and recognition. There is no time because the experience itself become your recognition. Your perception itself become wisdom. That is where you release from the moment. But if you take time, when the perception happen, if you take time to think what you have, to think you're going to analyze comparing to your past experience, that is where you get the you hit the arrow to yourself. You cannot get out of this. That is where we keep repeating again and again and again and again. So then remember, when you experience something in that very moment, see the change. So just by thinking, you cannot do it. Or you think, okay, next day when I see something, I'm going to see. It's not like that. There is a method. So Buddha explained it very clearly. Only thing is just try it a little bit. Just little bit try. You don't need to try a lot, because you have a life, you just try a little bit. Then you will see. Why? As I explained one time, the little bit is the most dangerous. So Vipassana also, Dharma also, you have to try little bit. That is where you're going to really, going to hit at. So what the Buddha said, how you can get into that kind of direct experience. Atapi sampajano satima vinaya loke abhijja domanasang. So abhijja domanasang, this means a strong desire to hold, abhijja, and the strong desire to resist, domanasa. So how you can get out of it? Seeing the change, or the recognizing impermanent, unsatisfactory nature and selflessness. How you can go there? Satima Vinaya, that is the Vinaya Loke. Vinaya Loke, that is the start point. So Loka means not the other planets or like that. The Loka means head to toes. You are this body. Vinaya. So be disciplined with your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Be disciplined. So how you can do that? Don't go to unnecessary things to see. If you don't want, don't go there. Don't hear unnecessary things. Don't smell unnecessary things. Don't eat unnecessary things. If you don't have any hunger, and you no need to, if there's, that no need to eat, why are you going to eat that? Don't eat. Don't associate unnecessary people. And don't think unnecessarily. Start from there. So it's within yourself. Govern very carefully. Self, the discipline with your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. So when you want to see something, look, is it profitable for you? It's a need for you, then go for it. If you hear something, look, is it profitable for you? Is it worth for you? And just go for it. And then you will see, while you're practicing that way, you will see how the craving craving come. And while you're watching drama, and then look yourself, question yourself, is it worth for me to watch this? And then you say, oh, no, it is not. Maybe you, but the very next day, temptation again come. I want to watch that a little bit. So the eating the same. Just look yourself, is it worth for me to eat this? And the temptation, maybe you see, no, but the temptation, see, you have to look that. That is what the point you're going to recognize, how the temptation come. That is the power of meditation. Oh, you recognize, oh, see, it is nothing to do with the the color or the shape or the pattern or the price of the food. It is the temptation. Once you see that, it doesn't matter how expensive the food, how beautiful it is, you don't go for it. It's so like that. So then look yourself again, and even whatever you think, look yourself, is it worth for you to think this way? Because if you go with the mind, you go crazy. If you keep thinking, you don't need that much time to go crazy. So then you have to understand yourself. It is worth for me to think this. Why is it profitable? If it is profitless, get out of it. Don't do that. So that is the beginning point. Otherwise, don't try to look impermanent. You're not going to see it. It is intellectually, just as idea, you cannot get this. That is what we does. Because mostly we don't recognize even with our eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, what is happening. We try to get into the impermanent. You cannot find it there. Why? Because it is nothing to do with outside. It is what you see through your inner wisdom. So to sharpen your inner wisdom, first guard your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. So once you guard that, Vinaya Loke, that is where the original in Satipatthana Sutta explain this. How to how to get out of the abhijja and domanasa. Abhijja means strong desire to hold, domanasa resistance. So the first step, Vinaya Loke. So have self-discipline with your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. Forget about other other things or the system, political system, economy. Forget about that. It has a method. It go with the time. It's going to change. But be careful with your work with your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. One one thing is enough for 1 year. So you will complete little by little, little by little. No need to push too much, but have a very clear understanding as a foundation where you should start, and be honest to yourself and work with you. Then you will see it going to really work for you. And then the satima. So once you have the self-discipline, what will happen? Satima, the next flower going to arise next to that. Satima, the mindfulness come. So we try to get the mindfulness without first step. You cannot get it. Without self-discipline, you cannot have the mindfulness. So the mindfulness come as a result of that self-discipline. So once the mindfulness is there, sampajano, recognition arise, understand. When you see something, recognition arise. And then atapi. And then you recognize the how this arising, existing, and disappearing. You see it. You don't need to look for that. You're going to see it. But you have to go step by step, step by step. It's like when you climb to the top of the mountain, you start the landscape going to appear there. So like that, when you have the clear understanding and discipline with your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, and it develop your awareness, and that awareness bring the wisdom. That wisdom will show you when you see something beautiful, when you see something ugly, whatever positive or negative, good or bad, white or black. So whatever you see, through that you see the impermanent, unsatisfactory nature and selflessness. That is where you're going to recognize this. So for that, you have to have the ability to develop yourself, not with others. So that is why we keep practice again and again, again and again, again and again. So when you fulfill the journey, that fulfillment with the self clarity, it brings the liberation yourself and transformation yourself deeper inside. It is not bringing another two legs or the two hands or two eyes. No, deeper what you see going to become very clear, like how the archery or the swordman, without thinking how they react to the target. The same way, when you see something in that appearance, the wisdom going to be there. So with that, I bless upon everyone with this good practice. May all of you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you. May no difficulties come to you. May no problems come to you. May you also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties in your life. During this time period, may everyone stay healthy and safe. And finally, may all of you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sabbityo vajjantu sabbaroko vinasatu mate bhavatantarayo sukhi digayuko bhava. Ittavata cha ammehi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe devanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe bhutanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe sattanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya idamme punya kammang asavakkaya vahang hotu Sabba dukkha pamuncatu. Bless you.